ship. You can see now why this is not altogether a perfect minimal pair for demonstrating the English vowel contrast between E and I. Because in this pair, in fact, the durational difference is not very great, because we have the pre-fortis clipping effect. We don't say sheep for the animal, we say sheep. Look, there's a sheep. And the other one is ship. So this kind of minimal pair will concentrate the learner's attention on the quality difference. The quality difference of E versus A. And that might be very useful. And this also serves to introduce the last topic in this lecture, which is the question of the functional load of the various different vowel positions in English. Those who learn about contrastive analysis for the first time and learn about English vowels for the first time sometimes get very excited and say, yes, we must ensure that our learners learn to hear and reproduce all of the vowel contrasts of the target language. Well, in principle, that's quite true. But some things are more important than others. Every teacher knows that some things give more difficulty than others, but also that some things are more important than others. Some vowel contrasts in English are important because they often distinguish messages that would otherwise be confused. We do, after all, in English have lots of pairs of words, many of them quite common words, distinguished by E versus I. We had the verb to leave, to go away, versus to live, to be alive. Leave, live, depends upon this contrast. Lots of pairs of words that exemplify it. We say that it has a high functional load. Load, the burden borne by this contrast, the function of distinguishing pairs of words. You can easily, I'm sure, think of other minimal pairs for E and I. There are lists of them in some of your course material. When you look in textbooks of pronunciation practice and so on, they will offer you sets of words: green, grin, bean, bin, reason, risen, meal, mill, feet, fit, cheek, check, deep, dip, each, itch. The beans were quite cheap, and the bins were quite cheap. I'm going to leave with my brother, I'm going to live with my brother. Did you feel it? Did you feel it? The peach was bad, the pitch was bad. He beat the dog, he bit the dog. The children were badly beaten, the children were badly bitten. And so on. It's not too difficult in English to find examples of things that would be really confused if you didn't make that distinction. It's also relevant that all native speech accents of English make this distinction. There are no regional varieties of native English that fail to make it, which is not the case with all other contrasts. But supposing we wanted to make a similar practice, do similar practice with the vowels oo and ug, the vowel of food and the vowel of good. Can we think of lots of minimal pairs for food and good? I haven't got a picture to put there because I haven't really got many satisfactory minimal pairs for oo and ug. Well, there are one or two. Perhaps somebody can suggest one. Pool, as in swimming pool, and pull, pull and push. Fool and full. Well, is interesting there is that there are many, many local varieties of English that don't make that distinction. Londoners don't. Londoners say pull for both of them and full for both of those. I've got a student working on the speech of Cleveland, Ohio, who tells me they're saying pull, full. They're not making any difference there. This is a new tendency. The Scots certainly make no such distinction. In Scottish English there is no difference between oo and o at all. In English we distinguish the vowel of food from the vowel of good. Scots say food, good, same vowel in each. So, on the one hand, there are very few minimal pairs. And on the other hand, there are varieties of English that don't bother anyhow with this distinction. So, I think the conclusion we can draw is obvious. While we do have to drill our students in making the difference between E and ig, green and grit, it's not nearly so important to drill our students to make the difference between oo and o. Well, there are plenty of other important vowel contrasts which we do need to pay attention to. Here's another one of them. This is the difference. I think we saw the other day that this is problematic in Germany, Poland, Hungary, Ukraine, Russia. Difference between and a pet, a pat, one man, many men, a net, a gnat, peddling, paddling. Well, that's a good example of an easily confused message. Which one is peddling and which one is paddling? One of them's paddling, the other one's peddling. I suppose it might be important to know which one is doing which. And again, in our textbooks, we can find plenty of practice material: had and head, bag, beg, land, lend, can, ken, pan, pen, mat, met, and so on. Sentences. First one is, you've been using my pan, haven't you? Second one, you've been using my pen. He lost his bat, he lost his bet. I can see a band ahead, I can see a bend ahead. We heard the cattle from a long way away, we heard the kettle from a long way away. Okay. So that the Spaniards and Japanese don't feel left out, it's also important to distinguish a and a. And so there's another instant slide made from Google yesterday to illustrate a hat and a hut. A hat, a hut. Again, easy to construct sentences that would be confused. We fried the fish in batter. We fried the fish in butter. Batter is a mixture of flour and water and I don't know what else. That's what you might cover the fish in to fry it. Butter, on the other hand, is a fat, of course, which you equally might fry it in. A hat and a hut. So that's an important contrast. Much more important than the difference between o and o. Here's our practice book for and a bug, a bag. I like my fish cooked in, oh there it is, cooked in butter or cooked in batter. He's worried about his uncle. He's worried about his ankle.